Great, and once again, if you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll come around with a microphone for you. So I'll start things off though. Chris, we've seen a lot of technologies out there sort of looking for vessel activity information. Yours seems to be kind of unique. Can you talk about the niche that the radar harvesting technology fills compared to some of these other technologies? And maybe you can illuminate some of your clients, what specific use cases they are interested in this application for.
I think our approach is unique in that radar harvesting provides a totally new view on collecting data of vessels at sea. We have deployed the microcomputer system to mostly surveillance organizations, and there we're hoping for it to become part of the data stream. It is in the development stage still at the moment, and we have the second system out, but we're hoping it adds to this on a regional level. It is, I think, relatively novel to collect data directly on boats for these surveillance actions.
Thanks, Chris. Questions from the audience? Don't be shy.
We're not. That's a really good question, and I avoided that in our presentation. We've just come out of a phase where we've engaged with several organizations. We're not. We have 2 or 3 identified that we'll be testing radar track with, and we will see as to the results of those trials where we go. After that, we will definitely be happy to deploy to organizations that approach us too.
For Ian, I saw on your slides you had fisheye views on above some of your decks. Are you guys processing your artificial intelligence algorithms on those cameras and that footage?
Depends on the camera we're actually using, but we can do sector-specific scanning of those. Mainly they're there for an operational situation and safety side of it. And then in the working areas, you'll see we've got focus cameras related to the VMPs, and they're pretty well always detecting human activity on board. Just through those detection models, the post-detection models, you by default then get, how many people on deck at what time, how many's working on deck, etc. But generally, the other component of that is high-risk working areas. So on some of the larger vessels, like on the big purse seines, when they're hauling back, you have safe working areas, and we just want to make sure people are clear of those. Where we do get the fisheye is in some of the energy applications, oil and gas, where they're looking at situational awareness as they're approaching platforms and things like that. So dependency on what the client is looking to detect and what we need to event, we'll just pick different camera combinations.
I think I can go next. My question's for Pak Sabdo. I just wondering, during the installment process of the tools on the vessel, how you communicate with the vessel owner, since I think this one is not benefiting them. Thank you.
That's good question. Actually, this is the government policy, right? So I think they should follow, because this is the government order to install that. So if they don't follow it, I think there is some fine. I'm not the Taiwanese nationality, but I'm only researcher. But I think because this is the policy from government, they should follow, right? Because in Taiwan, they are very strict in the regulation. If someone don't follow it, you need to pay something. That is, yeah. Thank you very much for the question.
I have a question for Angelo. You're a research institution and you've developed this technology. I'm curious how you guys work to get that technology in the hands of private sector. Do you actually get this out in the field and scale?
Yeah, it's working. Huh? Yes, it's very peculiar because we are a research institution. We are making also prototypes for different applications. We are not selling anything because, of course, we are a research institution, independent, and we cannot, let me say, have any kind of selling properties for this. Usually, we make projects with companies, and we sell. I would say we transfer the knowledge to the company, and they will provide the selling. What we can get is some fees for that, but for the rest. And otherwise, we remain an institution. I told you, independent means that every kind of results, good or bad, we are publishing. So thank you 2 times before you work with us. And that's it.
Hi there. I have a question about the labor estimation project. You mentioned that if there's more than 5 people, that's work, and less than 5 people is no work. Have you had to deal with a situation where a boat might have more than one shift of workers that comes on at a time, or does that not arise in the Taiwanese fleet?
Yeah, actually the condition is depend on the working condition. If there is, for example, maybe in one ship there is only several people working there, so we cannot set the same threshold to generalize there is working or not. So it's actually adaptable. It's depend on the condition on that vessel. I think it's like that. But we only give the example. For example, we said the threshold is 5. But actually, you can observe more in that vessel. How many people working on that vessel, and then how many shift. I mean, maybe they apply some shift, maybe only 12 hours for these people working and then 12 hours for these people working. It's depend on the ship rules. So you can set the threshold based on that. It's not strict. It's adaptable. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'd just like to add some more information about the research done by Zhongzheng University. So my name is Liu, and I'm the PI for this research. I would like to respond to how does the vessel owner would follow this regulation. I think to rule is one thing, but to apply is another. And I think the problem is coming up with more increasing labor disputes. So the workers always complain they sleep less and abusing working conditions, etc. And for the vessel owners, they would say we follow all the rules and there's no overworking time. So that is why we set up this kind of research and trying to identify and to provide an evidence-based. Just for example, if someone complained, then we can have this kind of evidence. And for the audience, if you are interested about the whole comprehensive project, please attend our special session for tomorrow. Yeah, next at 4:15. Yeah, yeah, in the afternoon. Thank you.
I have a question for Ian. So we've heard a lot about the rollout of Starlink, and I know you've been doing a lot of cellular data transfer as well. How do you think about what Starlink is going to enable for you as an EM provider versus what you can do already with cellular, and where's that heading?
Oh, not just for me, for everybody in this room, it's a game changer, period. Essentially, you have 5G services on satellite, so no problems getting 30 megabit links. It's a matter of just then determining what your data payloads are to meet your objectives. Typically on high seas vessels, we're metricing about 150 to 200 gig per vessel per month on those programs. But what we are seeing, irrespective of regulatory adoption, the vessel owners are fitting Starlink as fast as they can. And this is to then get all the other welfare benefits, operational benefits, the access to telemedicine, the access to crew for social media, resolving all these issues about who's working and who's not. Once you have internet connectivity on vessels, the issue of electronic reporting, electronic monitoring, climate, the sustainability issues all start to be leveraged out through the adoption of that technology.
But this microphone keeps going in and out. Hi. I was just curious, for all of your technologies that you're working with, it seems like some of them can be cost prohibitive for smaller scale fisheries. And I just wonder if any one of you could talk about how you think that you could drive prices down or cost down so that it could be more accessible.
Yeah, first one is volume. So, and again, is adopting off-the-shelf technologies. So we don't build anything that's we can't get as a cost off-the-shelf component. And our fundamental wireless uplift technology is 4G modem technology. And if you look at the issue that you really have is how do you get data, whether it be metadata or EM data or ER data, back into some environment where you can actually action it and do something with it in a timely manner. So most of the problem in all the small scale and everything is really accurate data. What we saw in Indonesia, where we've done EM programs in Bitung, etc., we're quite happy using the Telkomsel 4G networks to get data up. We see Starlink as providing the ability to infill remote areas, put microcells up, get data back, because you're talking about thousands of vessels that you need to get data from. So you have to look at scalable technologies, and the first one you start with is the mobile phone basic fundamentals. That gives you that network, that cost. So small scale systems getting down to $500 per vessel.
Low cost has been our main objective. I think those were the first two words in the description of the talk. We started so low that we found boundaries with the microcomputer system, and we were working upwards from there to find where the, so to say, sweet spot is.
Yeah, I can speak from the AI side. I think the main sell right now of the AI is that we bring the cost of the review down. And so it's complicated with small scale fisheries, like maybe that still doesn't get you below the threshold that you need, but, and so I think some creativity is required there to maybe change up how we think about monitoring. The project that I talked about with SmartPass that EDF is leading is kind of an interesting one there, where they're coming up with kind of an alternate model of modeling where the AI processing is kind of being done on the shore, and there's no burden on the vessel owners themselves. So I think there's some interesting opportunities there.
Yes, I agree with the fact that if we, from the first speaker, we use more data link and more, let me say, distributed IE in some, let me share system for the small scale fishery will be very benefit. And in principle, we saw also with our application, you can use not very high sophisticated camera system, for example. So we can go down with the price. Is the artificial intelligence part, the collecting data, is that the most difficult in this moment, but the price is going down. So it's also very good. More project, less pay.
I think I agree with all the speakers today because it's feasible to lower the cost, but currently the problem is we will face the low accuracy if we do too much cutting in the cost. I think that is the problem now. But I think in the future, it's possible to have some low-cost system with the high accuracy. Yeah, I believe that. Okay. Thank you.
I have one last question. On the labor monitoring, this may be my ignorance, but what is the methodology that GFW is using to estimate labor hours? What are the data inputs, and how is that different from what you're using?
Yeah, they are using the satellite-based image on the facial movement. So I'm not sure how they calculate that. We only request through the API. So we analyze the working hour based on the data that we get from that request. So, but they mentioned in their website they're using a satellite imagery, something like that. Yeah.
Quick question about I think it's Fish Path. Was that the name from EDF project? Is that Smart? Okay, sorry, my apologies on the name, getting the name wrong.
Smart Pass, yeah.
All right, thanks. Is there an ability with that, as you're counting vessels coming in and out, to be able to identify whether or not the vessel returned to port?
It's complicated. That's harder. But yeah, in theory, you could do that. Right now, the current version does not do that. We just do counts in and out, and we kind of send that as metadata from the port to like a server that we have that delivers the data. In theory, we could do something like that where you would see if the same boat went out and came back in.
Yeah. Any more questions from the crowd? Great. Let's give a big round of applause and thank you to all our panelists this afternoon. A great set of presentations. Great, and thanks everyone for your attendance. We got a little coffee and tea break, and then there's one more session this afternoon, a special workshop that Stuart Green is leading on AI and ML. So yeah, enjoy your break, and thanks everyone for the great questions.